Hello everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. Quick fire update here on Multivac MTV. It's been 10 days since the last one. Honestly, the time flies by constantly. Guys, we're going to do a quick check over here. So actually, in the last video, we talked about the communication looking to improve. And then since the 10 days, I don't think anything's really been posted. So it's gone a bit quiet again, however. We are going to just quickly check over this because we had this AMA on the 21st, so a few days ago. Those that watched it or listened to it, on Twitter Spaces, let us know what you thought. I've scanned through most of it, but I was intrigued to see Cathy on here around about 3/4 of the way through-ish. And yeah, I was expecting the VP of Comms, to be honest, to be a bit more excitable, if you like, but it sounded like she was basically reading off a piece of paper, something that we could have all done on Medium. If you haven't listened to it yet, do go check it out and you'll see exactly what I mean. This isn't something that I would appreciate, to be honest, at any level of presenting in this format. I understand like some people aren't good at presenting or whatever potentially, but like if you're the vice president or have a VP in your name and you're at this higher level, I'd expect a conversational approach to these kind of AMAs, not something that's written down, you're just reeling it off. It comes across unprofessional to me. This is basically an indication, don't double cross me in the business world because I don't like it. So just, it's just a bit weird. It's like, you've had this fine opportunity to have this kind of AMA. Now, I know it's not essentially like a public driven AMA or something from Multivac directly, but it's like a couple of your partners and it just doesn't look good for them. And it doesn't look good for people listening in my opinion. And some people were voicing their concerns about a couple of things about MTV on this AMA. So it was a good opportunity for a few people to jump on. There was nothing majorly ruthless. I think some people were just like venting a bit of the frustration that we've all seen over the last nearly 7 months now. I mean, we have to take some credit out of this in the sense that, they have at least showed up to something, and we have, albeit not in the last sort of 7 to 10 days, seen much communication, but we have seen some, albeit at least in the last couple of weeks compared to the few months before that. So I'm trying to be positive about it. I'm still holding the MTV. Like, what's done is done. Like, I accumulate MTV on small portions, as I mentioned in the previous videos. I'm not going mad. I'm being strategic with it. I'm just saying, look, here's some spare USDT available. I'm going to accumulate as much as I can. I want to try and get to the million mark, so that when eventually the nodes do launch, I could try and do that. Because I do think, as I said many times, I think on paper Multivac is a phenomenal opportunity. There's a lot of talk about the NFT applications on MTV. I want to see more. And this is where I get a bit frustrated about the communication, because they should be talking about all the other technological advancements, in what they're doing within the project, and not just for retail investors, but like for your partners, for yourselves. Retail investors we're just here, right? Okay, we're just hopefully trying to get involved. A lot of people want to try and make money of it. Some people put serious money in it. It's totally understandable why people get annoyed about it. But I take a bit of a backseat in the sense that, some projects are risk, some are not. Some are doing really well, some aren't. And I think in another way as well, this downward trend that we've had across the whole market, Multivac's still here. Whatever capacity that might be, they're still here. We're still getting trickles of information. If you go on the GitHubs and things, like, you can see the progression is going on in the background. I just think the biggest thing, guys, is obviously the communication or the lack of, and I think we're all in agreement that should, we say this for a long time now, it should improve. We know in the last video or two, I've got messages back and forth with those guys at Multivac, so they are communicating and responding, but no AMAs will be done with any channels or anything like that. And I understand to an extent, but as for example, the guys over at Cheeky Crypto, I've seen in the tweets prove us wrong, like have an AMA. I know that's obviously a bit of an enticement to try and get an AMA with them, but at the end of the day, they have actually. And like many other channels, like ourselves, to be fair, have given credibility towards Multivac. And when things have happened in December, I can understand, and I said this specifically at the time. I said I understand, like, businesses falter and staff falter, and it's difficult if you've got a small resource of team and you're trying to do everything yourself and build back from scratch. It can take time. You can sometimes see developments not even for like 6 to 12 months, and we're already pretty much at those sort of early stages of trying to see if we're going to get any form of development or improvement in communication. So yeah, I would be giving this the next few months at least, and then I'll be asking major questions if we're not seeing any direct major improvement in 2-3 months time. I think we're in a really bad market situation at the moment. Yeah, okay, we've had a bit of green in the last few days or whatever, but in the grand scheme of things, the negativity is still around the world. You got to look at all the macro events, interest rates, energy prices, all this stuff. We're not out of the woods. So it's going to be interesting if the market starts trending upwards, if they start being more active. But do bear in mind, guys, that a lot of the projects sometimes do go quiet in these periods of time because of reduction in marketing spend, for example, which is not an excuse for lack of communication, in all honesty. But in the background, it is a good time for building, for developing, and I hope that's what they're doing. And like I said, I do see inklings of that. And I want to see some more information around the the node launches and things like this, and the mainnet, these kind of things. So let us know what you are thinking in the comments below. I asked this each Multivac video. I mean, I thought we were getting a bit of improvement, and then it's gone quiet again. I think just tell us all the things you're doing each day, not like directly from the team, but just like have a bit of a pizzazz about yourselves. You know what I mean? It's like, it just sounds dead at the moment. It is frustrating, but like I said, I'm holding by. I've invested in Multivac. I'm waiting for a good day. A good day, whether that's this year or next year or the years to come, whatever it is, it's done. It's done. Like, I'm not going to pull it out as pointless. What's the point in pulling out in a loss? I'm in a loss on Multivac. I'm open and honest about everything that we do and what my situations are. I'm sure many of you out there are in a similar situation as well. So we just hold tight, and you have to accept that some of the investments that you make are high risk, and some just falter completely and just disappear. I mean, look at Luna, for God's sake. It's crazy. So that relatively wraps up all the information points, or indeed the lack of information points from Multivac in this last week. Do let us know in the comments, as I said, what you're thinking with regards to Multivac. And don't forget to make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button when you get a chance to do so, and hit the bell button as well so you don't miss any of the awesome videos that we do. So now we've got that out of the way, guys, I think we're going to jump into the chart. I'm just going to get rid of all these different prices here on the right hand side, so we've got a bit of tidiness here. So since the last video, which was around 10 days ago, which was roughly pretty much around bang on the 10th of a cent. Okay, so since then we have made some movements upwards, albeit only up to 0.0012 or 0.0013. Not huge. It looks big on a chart, but it's really not that significant in that aspect of it. And just to reiterate as well, I'm just going to draw that back down. Since the top point of Multivac late last year, we've had almost 100% loss there in drop down. So in terms of accumulation, whether it's here or here, to be honest, is neither here nor there. It depends on if you're doing gigantic volumes, then obviously it's a bit different. But for me, it's like I try and find the dips in Multivac. We're having a bit one today. I do anticipate we might come and retest slightly lower than that. It's really insignificant in my opinion. But I'm just accumulating as and when I can with Multivac. As I said, I want to try and get to that 1 million mark. I'm not going into huge detail about the chart really, because it's not too different from the last video. I just want to reiterate the point of where we've come from. And actually, when we're looking back here, we're not majorly far off those really low points that we had in March last year. So this is the thing. And if Bitcoin does fall down a lot more, which I was anticipating, maybe between $12,000 and $15,000 for BTC, we could see MTV dragging back down to those previous prices. And the last time we saw those kind of levels was February 2021. and then the lower ones were before that, of course. So there is an opportunity potentially because of this big wave up we had in Multivac. It's so high up that I can't even see it. From this point here on February 21, I'll reiterate what I said in the last couple of videos. Since then, is a big jump up, and that means we have lack of support in this area. This is why I'm intrigued to not spend too much on MTV in terms of investment, because there could be a potential downturn still to come where we would see it go way below the current price point, maybe half of that potentially. We'll have to see, but that's the whole point of being strategic when you're investing, especially on a dollar cost average basis. As I said, I'm not putting too much in right now. I'm anticipating potentially lower. If it goes higher, fantastic, we're making money, right? So I'm not going to be angry with that, and I'm not going to do that whole thing, I wish I bought more of it, because at this moment in time, hindsight's a beautiful thing, right? But at this moment in time, it's a risk factor. You have to take risk into consideration, and actually I'm going to invest the big majority of the availability of USDC and USDT that I have in other projects. So that's part and parcel of being in this space, guys. And before we go into the indicators on the right hand side here, which are actually improving, I want to point these out on the RSIs. Now, way back here in May, roughly about a month and a half ago nearly, we were at these really low points, and the RSI was down to 18 on the 14-day and 27 on the 28-day, which is relatively respectable, to be honest, like the rest of the market. But look at this uptrend. This is great to see, and actually you can pinpoint the fact that if we looked on the 14-day mark at 48, it's absolutely brilliant, and the 28 days moved up to 38. So actually from these really low points, some people may have been making some relatively good profits on there, but as I said, the price point hasn't moved much. All I'm saying is, and this is kind of backs up my point here, we've had the sell-off left, right and center across the last few months. Now people are accumulating, but what's really funny is they're not accumulating in masses. This is exactly the point I was making. People are being strategic right now of MTV. They really want to believe continuously in MTV. Some have backed out completely, totally understandable. But for me, like myself, is that I'm being as I said, being realistic and being strategic about the investment. And that's clear as day right now. Since the 16th, 17th of May, that is what people are doing. They're actually buying into MTV, but in very small incremental levels. And that is proven again on the MACD here, where we had the switch over into I call it a bullish momentum. It arguably is, because we can see these line trends showing that we're actually buying more than we are selling. So it's very slow. It's like a snail. It's like the MTV snail is in play right now. There's a bit of a trigger down today. Where's that marker on the red? It's going to be very interesting to see how this levels out. But I do think we're going to get to a point now where people are going to start questioning again the communication factors and wanting to see more. You might start seeing this really level off and potentially stabilize. But I do think as well, with that Bitcoin movement and the rest of the world situations, you have to be cautious. So they're my points on those. But in general, it's nice to see the movement, albeit slow and steady. It is upward trending, and you can see that on this chart here. The indicators on the right hand side, very positive. And you know what? I'm actually really positive about that monthly one. This is one of the first few projects that is showing green in the month properly. So on the weekly and the monthly, we are up. Not huge amounts, but this is great to see. And we make that point earlier about being nearly 100% down from that top marker. It is slowly but surely dragging itself down. And this is about the longevity, guys, of how long this cycle might be, and this stability factor, this low factor. It's going to take a long time to recover to these, maybe even into next year. We have to see what kind of bullish news comes out this year. And I'm not just talking about the crypto market, stock markets, I'm talking about the world narratives. I can't anytime soon see the energy companies reversing what they said earlier in the year about rates going up and interest rates from the banks and stuff. Can't see that. So it's been really interesting. I'm kind of excited in the same way, because this is a hobby to me. I know it sounds weird, like one of the hobbies is throwing money at things. You just have no idea what's going to happen to an extent. You can do all the research in the world, but of course you have to understand the way the world works and how money flows and where it goes to and from to get a bigger picture of this. But as I said, the weekly and the monthly are in green. This is really interesting. Can we stabilize that? If we can stabilize that, we may start seeing Multivac take up to these next levels. I mean, it's like I said, it's relatively insignificant still, to be honest, until you get back up to the higher regions. But you have to start somewhere, guys, and this could be arguably, potentially, the beginning of that usual V shape that you get from a big drop down into a uptake. So who knows, guys? MTV is like full of surprises, isn't it? It's like, what is going on? This is like the most bizarre crypto asset I think I know, honestly, apart from Luna when it collapsed and stuff, but that was kind of like a forced thing, right? MTV for me is just the most confusing, crazy thing I think I've ever invested in. So here's the technicals. It's on neutral. This is proving again the point I made about stability and stabilization and people's psychology around this token right now. Guys, I'm going to wrap that up there. Let me know what you think. What are you doing with MTV? Are you accumulating like I am, bits and bobs? Or are you out of MTV until you see some promised land? What are you doing? But until the next MTV video, guys, thank you so much for watching. And we will indeed see you in the next MTV video. Bye-bye.